So, for those who don't know, autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, is broken down by the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders (DMS) um, into three levels of support needs. That's level 1 requiring support, level 2 requiring substantial support, and level 3 requiring very substantial support. The more commonly diagnosed and aided is level 3 and some level 2, depending on if it's behavioral or not. Um, and there are students that with lower support needs that are being sent into general education classes are being horribly let down by our education system. So these students are being subjected to bullying by students and some staff, and they're being taught and um, treated like they're less than their peers and less than as people. Um, and they're also their 504 plans in their individualized education programs, their IEPs, are being completely ignored by staff. Um, so, as peers and teachers of these kids, being aware of what your friends and what your students are going through will really bring insight into why public schools need to step it up in regards to autism awareness and acceptance. So, I've spent the last couple of years, two or three, researching autism, and while I lack a formal diagnosis, I've talked to multiple mental health and autism specialists, and we all kind of have the same conclusion that I have autism level 1 social support and level 2 in the restricted interest and repetitive behaviors. So I know what these kids deal with every day, and I know what it's like being a autistic kid in a public school. So one of the worst things that comes out of being an autistic kid in a public school is the bullying. Um, this is in order to understand where bullying happens and why it's being excused in school. You have to understand that bullying isn't just the physical harm and outwardly rude and hateful comments. It's it's the little things. And so like taking a look into bullying with students, it's fairly commonly understood and like agreed upon that it's not cool. It's really cruel to bully severely autistic kids, the kids that you see that kid, you know they're autistic, and it's not cool to bully them. But all of a sudden, when a kid who presents less severe, who can communicate better, um, starts showing signs of autism and behaving autistically, suddenly they're a target for the bullying. So this bullying is more like pretending to be your friend when you're not really that person's friend. Um, and a lot of it is infantilizing, which, if you don't know, according to Merriam-Webster, it means to treat as if infantile. So treating someone like they're a kid, treating them like they're little, because they're vulnerable and maybe they don't understand as much. Um, and that can take place in like say a kid in your class this is the autistic kid, and they say something and they're this is a little out of pocket, and responding with like, "Oh, you're so pretty," or, well, we love you, so and so. That's You're being condescending, and that's rude, and that's a form of bullying, because a lot of times the autistic kid doesn't understand that you're being mean, or they don't understand why you're being mean, what they did to deserve the meanness, the bullying. Um, and the problem with that, like where it comes in with teachers and educators and the education system as a whole, um, is students aren't being punished for this. This is a lot of the time. This is sorry. A lot of time this is because the teacher feels the same way as the non-autistic kid bullying the autistic kid. Um, so that kind of pushes us into teachers as a whole, um, treating these autistic kids like they're less than, or like they're not, is they're more stupid, like, you know what I mean? And so most of this like isn't on purpose. I feel like that's an important note to make. But it's still extremely harmful to the student. So most of this is due to the lack of understanding and introduction general education teachers are given when working with autistic kids. And that's something that really needs to be pushed out there because general education teachers don't know the way that autistic kids show discomfort and the need for support. So most kids with autism are already working twice as hard to be at the same level as the rest of the kids. And teachers will be harsh on these kids for asking more basic questions or stupid questions. Um, or they'll learn to do something and they're getting the right answer, but they learn to do it in a different way than everyone else did. And teachers will be harsher on those kids. And the kid will understand, like, hey, I'm doing something wrong, but they don't know why. Why are they wrong and why is no one else wrong? And they know that they're upsetting the teacher. And that creates a lot of mistrust between the student and the teacher. Um, and that'll cause the student not to ask questions about something they need help with, and then they fail because they didn't ask questions that they needed to ask, and that only furthers the in their brain them thinking, oh well, I'm stupid or I'm not as good and the teacher's not treating me as like everyone else, and it really creates a lot of upset and like tension with the kid. um, Now, um, moving on, uh, while a lot of students or some students may have access to accommodations in an IEP or 504, not everyone does, and the ones who do are being ignored. Um, and like, I'm going to use myself as an example. I have a 504 plan um, that states if one of my things is if I get overwhelmed or overstimulated in a situation, I'm allowed to leave that situation without it being counted against me, without getting in trouble or something taken away from me for that. And there was an instance not too long ago where I was getting ready with my team before a football game for flag line, and the uniform and the hair and everything was too much, and I needed to leave. And I was able to leave momentarily, but after a couple of seconds, I was told by the instructor that if I didn't come back in, that I wouldn't be participating in the football game, and I wouldn't be participating um, from that. Um, so it's, time and time again that this is happening. Um, and it's really just another way the education system and teachers remain uneducated and unaware of the needs of their autistic kids. So we're really just not doing enough to support and include autistic kids. It's very unfortunate that these students are being subjected to the bullying and being taught that they matter less, and their accommodations being ignored. So hopefully someday soon the education system will learn to correct its mistakes and foster more inclusion for its students. Thank you.